I know you guys are thinking, Cryo, is this a clickbait title video? No, not necessarily. So basically, I'm going to explain why these items are bad in the game. I'll basically give you a brief summary and explanation what these are. So these items are basically found and bought in certain shops and involved in certain creeds. These items basically help you in battle. They do damage, although the scaling is still unknown based on my own experience. There's also a couple of common enemies that drop these particular items, minus one of them because it's creed dependent. Overall, this seems like really fun. Now, despite this sounding really fun on paper and very useful, it's not necessarily the greatest fucking thing in the world. I'm going to give you a couple reasons. The first major problem with these items is the fact that some of them, or at least I would say the majority, are very creed dependent, which means specific creeds are required to actually access these guys in the shop. The second part is the buying concept. Although they're not expensive, regardless whether they're not between 100 to 250, the fact that you have to constantly purchase these items to continue using them in the game is also kind of a big problem. Another main issue with this is the fact that there's not that many common enemies you could farm to get these particular items. So basically, the creed dependent and the shops are going to be the main way to get them. Because even during your adventure, you're not going to get too many of these items. So you have to kind of buy them consistently in the shop. Also, these items are not necessarily game breaking, so it's not as if they're going to give you such a huge advantage that you're going to steamroll the game if possible. There's only one of these that I would actually say consider worth going for because there are a couple builds you can run with the particular item, especially since it's creed dependent and it gives you the ability to restock automatically as long as you stay in that creed and you find a sanctuary, which is one of the benefits. Plus, it's really fun as a poison build. One of my main problems with these items in particular is not the fact that they're consumables and you get rid of them as you just keep using them. My problem is actually telling how much damage they do, and the scaling is really difficult because since in the wiki it doesn't really say if they're dex based or strength based, so you have to kind of guess. Also, in my experience and in my own opinion, I don't think these items are worth it at all for late game. They're only semi decent for early game, but beyond that point, they're not worth it. They may be okay for certain common enemies, and other than that, though, not really much. Even for bosses, after the fourth boss of the main game, you basically don't get to use these as often because they're not going to be as effective as they sound, which is disappointing because they have a cool concept and it's a cool idea to have a multi-arsenal just to have backup and stuff. But there's no point using these particular items if they just don't do enough damage. In my opinion, I would say just focus more on getting blessed pages, pitch fires, focus more on the elemental weapon effects for your weapons, and just stick with those and just ignore these because they're not necessarily worth it in my honest opinion. Also, the item build is extremely niche. It doesn't seem as super effective as it sounds. Cool for the challenge and for the sake of going after bosses, but not really worth it in the long run. So that's my opinion on this. Of course, your experience can be different. Maybe you just don't care enough about the builds. You just like using these items. And if you do, that's fine. That's cool. I don't really care. So sorry I haven't posted any kind of video like this in some time. Obviously, I've been doing a lot of projects. However, I have 3 other videos particular to this style of Salt and Sanctuary that are in the works right now. So there might be another one relatively soon. All right. Hope you guys enjoy. Stay fearless.